Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
Okay, welcome back to Souq Business Landscape. As I said earlier, I am Moyosore Adebiyi, and I'm not doing this alone. I have the one and only, our think tank, Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Moyo, pleasure to be by your side.
Thank you so much. We also have Mr. Oyinpreye Krumale. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Moyo. It's nice to be here.
The Don himself.
Yes, the Don. Very riveting conversations with you.
Ironically.
And I'm saving the last for the best for the last. Doctor. Did I say doctor?
Yeah.
Okay, this is
At
like
this point, it's your birthday.
This prophecy is
At this point, it's Professor, I want to call you. Mr. Chooks John Rogers.
The honorable.
The honorable one.
Distinguished senator.
Also, we're not just praising him because today is his birthday, but also because we love him. He's a very special inclusion to the Souq News TV family. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Don't worry, before the show runs out, we're going to sing for him.
Thank you very much. And this is SBL, and let's get to business.
All right, let's get to business. Although your birthday is our business, but we'll get to that.
It is a big
Yes. All right, so we're going to start off with the first topic, where we're talking about the energy policy right now in the country. Yes. So the Nigerian Export Processing Zones Authority, the Dangote Refinery, and the federal government One-Stop Shop Committee on the Sale of Crude in Naira have agreed to implement the presidential directive to reduce the cost of petroleum products in the country. The agreement reached during a courtesy visit to NEPSA's managing director, Mr. Olufemi Ogunyemi in Abuja, aims to supply crude oil directly to local refineries in Naira, starting with the Dangote Refinery. Ogunyemi confirmed that the Dangote Refinery has delivered over 480 vessels since operations began and is capable of producing various crude types to meet domestic demand. He noted that pricing crude in Nigeria would reduce pressure on the local currency. The committee coordinator, Maureen Ogbonna, described the policy as a critical step to reposition the economy through energy, self-sufficiency, and currency protection. All right. Gentlemen, let's talk about this. Obviously, this policy is going to do a lot to defend the Naira. So I want to ask everyone on the table the same question. Doctor, starting with you. How sustainable is the Naira for crude model in the long run?
Well, I think it's something that's doable in my thinking. It's something that is also sustainable. I don't know. You see, by the time we left the gold standard and moved into the dollar era, like Ray Dalio said in his book, is the man who conquered the globe that put his currency to the front table as the only means of exchange, which a dollar has become. And I think there's a need, actually, for third world countries to actually win themselves off this dollar struggle to equal up with dollar. And that, to a very large extent, will help the trade amongst Africa, especially. Now, but also looking at it in the face of the BRICS, where BRICS also thinking of doing their own currency, that we're not supposed to forever be tied to the dollar economy, that we should even move away from the dollar economy and let people do a lot of local. I can't understand the rationale that you're buying crude from Nigeria and you're paying in dollar. Just like some people are collecting school fees in Nigeria and they're collecting dollar. It doesn't sound nice and it doesn't sound right. It only helps only one economy, and that is the American economy. So we must also be thinking what helps our own economy. So I expect that when we are selling crude to a Nigeria, we should take Naira. Even when they are bringing it in from elsewhere, we should clear in Naira, not in dollars. As long as it is the CBN of Nigeria that is receiving the money from Nigerians. So if we are trading with other people from other clients, yes, of course, the hard currency, which is a means of transactions, can be used. But if it has to do with a Nigerian company registered by the corporate affair operating under the Kama law of Nigeria, I think they should do business with Nigeria in local currency, not in foreign currency.
Mr. Chooks, John Rogers, obviously, again, this is a good idea, especially for me, on paper. But do you think the operational feasibility of this will be challenged by other dollar-based crude markets across the globe?
Other dollar-based crude markets are not Nigerians. Neither are the Nigerian government.
Okay.
Neither do we have anything to benefit directly from them. So yes, they might feel slighted, angry. That is their business. But first, we want to tell congratulations and thank you to the elite. I know you told my line. We spoke about this some time ago. And this particular policy started, they stopped, then they are about starting it again, which is good, not just for the business, but for me and you. So let me use one of those words the elite don't like, for the common man. So now, because if this transaction happened in Naira, Dangote is most likely, and others would get it lower than the price it should have come in dollars, which would translate to me buying PMS at a cheaper price, other than what it is in international market if we all go to the international market and buy off the same price. So thank you to the elites. Thank you, Doctor, for speaking to your fellow elites. And now we've seen the results that things are happening. Just like Doc said, this is one policy we should hold dear. We can't be growing somebody else's economy in our own land. So if we want to appreciate and make the Naira grow, then we have to sell Naira, use Naira, buy Naira, and make sure our transactions happen with Naira and not the dollar.
Do you agree with this?
Oh, yes, I agreed, but there are some few things here. The thing is, if petrol is being sold in an international market for $80 and the NNPCL want to sell to modular refineries and it's going to be selling in Naira, I don't think it's selling below $80. It's just that it's giving them in Naira equivalent.
So they can also choose to sell lower.
Yes, for the specificity of
and
this
have some
policy.
percentage of getting it back. From the refinery in one or a different way.
Yes,
they can even give it to them for free. And have a percent, okay, we are giving it to you, refine, take your cost, give us this. So instead of subsidy, government have in their own way, okay, let's find policies that will make things better for our people. Okay, good, let's go into business with the refineries. We'll give you crude. We'll get this back in return. You get that back in return. But at the end of the day, Nigeria government benefit and the people benefit.
But
but I think the point Krumale is making is valid. What it is right now is not the fact that we are even looking for lower prices. It's first of all to see that these hustling and bustling for the dollar won't be there. And if Dangote is buying from Nigeria and he's not needing to go anywhere to look for money, just do a transfer from one account to another account. There's no need for cash or currency moving hands. And then, of course, the oil of the economy is oil. And nobody is losing. Nigeria is not losing. Dangote is not losing. But the Nigerian masses benefit a lot from it because when
can you use common man?
No, the Nigerian people.
Okay.
All of us are common.
Come again.
Some are more common than others.
All of us are common. It's common humanity.
Some are more common than others.
Some are uncommon.
There's also that.
Uncommon.
Maybe uncommon or common.
Wearing navy blue jacket.
Exactly.
With a navy blue tie. So what you see is that we are also able to control what happened to our currency in terms of CBN ability to actually monitor the volume of currency in circulation. Now, you imagine that, for example, Dangote is going to go source dollar from the parallel market if he doesn't have it all in. So he's going to carry Naira in hand and take out to where he's going to get it. And that leaves out of the purview and the control of the CBN. So we cannot determine the quantity of money supply. And imagine that everybody who is doing crude is doing the same thing to go source dollar. That kind of arrangement, which of course we're not able to manage our inflation very well. But with this arrangement, of course, the Naira is inside the CBN and the big banking system, so it doesn't need to be outside. And that way we can actually monitor and control the amount of currency that is in circulation, and then we are able to really put a cap on inflation.
Do you want to finish yourself? Yeah.
Yes. So, well explained. And the other part is this. if we were going the route of dollar,
Yes.
it's not just only going to source for it and the stress that is attached to it. Also, the currency will suffer devaluation because the pressure, now it's crude, naira for crude. So the pressure on the naira in the foreign market, or will I say the capital market, it's going to, about 30% of it will be removed off the shoulder. And that in itself should contribute its quota to dousing down the pressure of inflation in the country. And that would be a good one. But something was mentioned. The sustainability part is what we need to pay more attention to. And also, when these products are bought within this policy framework, we know that the government is playing its role. We know that the Dangote and other private refinery owners, they are playing their role. However, we must maintain integrity from these private businessmen. If you're going to get that money, if you're going to get the product for naira, please don't ship it out of Nigeria to Niger Republic to sell. Don't ship it out of Nigeria to other contiguous African countries to sell because you want to make 100%
Should that
profit.
appeal be going to the refineries or the oil marketers?
That's
But
that's a good problem to have, really.
A good
Let's break it down then.
You see, why is it a good problem
because
to
we have
have?
the obligation
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it a good problem to have? Which means we're able to break the backbone of monopoly. Dangote has a 650 train capacity refinery. Bua is building one in Akwa Ibom, 200,000 capacity. We have NLPC, their own 40,000 capacity. We have this. We need more people to participate in that.
Yes, but in the interim, what about we?
No. What I mean
The
is
consumer.
The consumers in Nigeria.
What I mean is that it's only responding to the law of supply and demand. So if we have so much supply within the system, then of course there's a little the local market can take.
But Doctor, we don't
So
have
the
enough
essence
supply yet.
we have to
As of
sell
right
to others
now-
and make money from them also.
As of right
We
now,
don't
we don't have
enough
enough
supply
supply as
yet.
of right now.
Enough
Yeah,
supply
but that's what I'm saying is we're looking at its sustainability
Yeah, but
in the longer run.
Fair.
So I'm expecting that in the longer run, that like Boaz said, is refinery will come on stream in 2027 or so.
2037.
2027.
Is there a way that you can join us in appealing to him to make it faster?
Faster. It's possible.
Okay,
so,
good.
so we have some modular refinery that's already in operation. So we're also going to benefit from this cash stuff we're talking about. So what I'm saying really, he's talking about, the fear is that, people are going to sell
and
to
it
the
won't
outside.
be enough for us.
No, it will not be enough for us. Well, I'm saying, let's produce enough. More than enough.
And I feel like we need to get to that point where we can.
So that we have so much here, and everybody here is so
demand here
happy,
first.
and we are all. No, I understand that that worry and that fear, and Dangote say, look, yes, I can supply you. So I'm also expecting that Dangote is also sending to these other African countries. Since there's no ECOWAS currency, we can also earn dollar from that side to help our economy. But it should be done officially, not through illegal route.
Yes. Okay.
So that we can get the right duties on them and the right taxes that are supposed to come on them, but we are not taking it through the bush part to go sell into this country. I think that for me should be the real
Yeah, that speaks to the integrity part you mentioned.
Yeah, it speaks to the integrity part, but the modular refineries and their operators, whoever, because there is not sufficient, NNPC do not have sufficient crude to satisfy all domestic refineries and also to satisfy our foreign obligations and also our debt obligations through which we're servicing with crude oil. It will be obvious that sometimes Dangote and a few others will still need to go outside to import as it is at the moment. So the thing is, when they import from outside, that's the one they should be able to take to other contiguous African countries and sell to others for export. But whichever one they obtain internally should first of all pay attention within, because that's the purpose for which the government is driving this policy. And the one-stop shop should be able to do that very well, because it is saddled with the responsibility of coordinating this.
Yes.
Since we are looking at the one-stop shop, can we also look at a scenario where we can look at this particular? There are several oil fields that right now they are not drilling.
Yes.
So the government that is responsible, that have been getting these things done, Also look at that, and doc that is here, also talk to your people. Let them get
my people, really?
You know, the elites talk to elites. You know? Yes. Yeah. So we the common Nigerians, we can appeal.
We can only appeal
to the elite. So if they can look at this particular oil fields that they wanted to seize the licenses of those that would they give them to and have not been servicing those fields.
Yes.
Let's see if we can say, okay, for these refineries, let's look in the next 10 years, 15 years, these oil fields should go to production for these local refineries. So even if they say, okay, Dangote, Moyosore Smith, Bill, invest in drilling oil.
Yes.
Or some other banks or some other consortium invest in drilling oil for local use. So that way we know that we're adding more into the quota that we are producing for now.
I think we just need some little measure of transparency in the oil sector.
Not little, a lot more.
Yes. Yeah, but at least something is being done. Yeah, but at least we need more of those transparency. And I think the opaqueness of this operation is actually the problem. You know, people have been asking, for example, in the law, over the years before the PIA was passed, NNPC was receiving 400,000 barrels of crude for local refining. And people have been asking, where does this crude go to? Who takes it? Who uses it?
And Dangote was not in existence then.
At that time. Because the law actually made these provisions that, yes, we are selling crude in the international market, but this certain number of crude had to be used locally.
And it was going.
So, so whose hands are this thing actually getting into? So this is what I'm saying. There's a need for us to actually be more open and transparent in the way some of all these things are doing. I was watching a short clip of the Archbishop Dutelo speaking during the what's his name now? This chief, the highest chief that passed in the Niger Delta.
Okay, Clark.
Edwin Clark, and I was saying to them that they just bamboozle all with lies and tell us we cannot produce 2 million barrels per day. But we are in the Niger Delta, we know that they produce more than 2 million barrels.
Interesting.
And I think the Senate president was there in that meeting. And the secretary to the government was in that meeting.
Nobody gave a rebuttal to that.
There's no reporter, of course, because he was on the pulpit. But one would have expected somebody to have do a rejoinder after that.
But they were silent.
This thing was right, because up to now, in short, as a matter of fact, the video has gone so viral that almost everybody has that clip, because he was speaking and said, look, we must tell ourselves honest truths. Yes. That how can you say we are not able to actually drill 2 million barrels when we know that the operation is going on here? We can see the crude. We are seeing how it moves. So there's a whole lot that needs to be done. And I think that cleanup, we still need it in the Nigerian oil sector, oil and gas. Let's clean the environment. Like you were talking about, who are these people who are having this license that are not in use? And what is the use keeping a license that you are not, that is not active? So if you don't have the capacity, give it to somebody who can use it, so that we are not just using the state's resources to do friendship, and then the nation is paying dearly for it.
I think even the laws that allows the government and its agencies to grant licenses probably may not even permit transfer to third party without its consent. So if you are going to do that, in fact...
No, I think they should just withdraw it.
That's what they're just
going to do.
Revoke
it
they are going to
assign it to somebody
and
else.
Withdraw and reassign to someone else.
Else.
Because if we were to go to the hand of a third party without the knowledge of the agent, the regulatory agency, the racketeering would take another dimension.
Because of time, let's quickly round up. But I want to ask you, Mr. Chooks John Rogers, some analysts say that we risk some pushback from the local refiners with this wanting to use Naira as opposed to foreign exchange. Do you think that there would be pushback?
Pushback from which of the local, our own refineries?
Our own local refineries.
Pushback.
It's just
because of profits, for profitability issues.
Who is making profit? It's the local refineries that are actually making profit.
If it's backed in Naira.
Yes, if they pay in Naira, they're actually making profit, because there is no way the CBN can give you the exact amount of dollars you need to go buy crude. No way, because CBN also has a whole lot of obligations to meet. So they will give you some, and you go source some. So and you won't source with CBN rate.
Yeah.
when you go outside to go and source. So if they say, okay, CBN is okay, good enough, you can pay in Naira. That means you are paying CBN rate in Naira, which is good for you. So leave those sources alone.
Fair enough. We're leaving those sources alone. That's why I only trust this gentleman right here. We're going to short break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about energy trade as it relates to Dangote. Don't go anywhere. There's more conversation to come on Souq Business Landscape.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
In Africa, there's one man who has consistently been a household name and index of reference in the business arena. The name Aliko Dangote apparently stands tall. The Africa's richest man clearly benchmarks success, wealth, and prosperity. His unofficial love and passion for business are quite phenomenal. These can be traced to his background. Born in April 10, 1957 to Maria Sanusi Dantata and Mohammed Dangote, his maternal ancestors were prosperous caravan traders under British colonial rule, and his grandfather, Alhaji Sanusi Dantata, was a commodity trader. Dangote's grandfather was heavily involved in his upbringing and helped ignite his entrepreneurial spirit. For Dangote, one would ever assume his wealth was handed out or easily channeled, being an offspring of Dantata, but his success didn't come through daydreaming. Dangote complemented inherited fortune with deliberate hard work and innovation to pave his way to the top. Those who knew Dangote while growing up would not be surprised at his outstanding success. At age 8, Dangote uses pocket money to buy sweets, which he and others sell for a profit. Everything big in life starts from little. Taking a clue from this, Dangote, from a seed loan of 500,000 obtained from his uncle, started business, which he traded commodities and business supplies, primarily cement. By 1981, his firm was successful that he had incorporated other businesses and established the Dangote Group. His empire extended to foodstuffs, including sugar, salt, wheat, cement, haulage, and other business concerns. Among his holdings were Dangote Industries, Dangote Bale Nigeria, Dangote Cement PLC, Benue Cement Company PLC, Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC, Dangote Flour Mills, and Nascent Ally Industries PLC. In addition to his holdings in Nigeria, the Dangote Group has operations in several other African countries. With these giant strides in the business arena, Dangote will forever be grateful to his grandfather for giving him wings to fly. According to Forbes, an American business magazine, Dangote remains the richest man in Africa with an estimated fortune of $13.9 billion. Dangote is one Nigeria, highly decorated with honors as well. His urine service and huge investment also got him both local and international recognitions, like the Guardian Man of the Year in 2015. He won the 2016 African Business Leader Award organized by the African American Institute. Dangote was cited as one of the top most influential Africans by the New African magazine in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2019. He was recently conferred with the prestigious award of the National Order of the Lion by the President of Senegal. When it comes to breaking jinx, Dangote has it in full measures. He took his pioneering and jinx-breaking adventure to another dimension with the unveiling of the $20 billion refinery, widely adjudged as the largest single-train petrochemical refinery in the world. The refinery has the total capacity of...
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
Welcome back to Souq Business Landscape. We're in the second lap of the show. Now let's get into it. The federal government sold crude oil worth 219.38 billion naira to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery between January and April 2025. According to internal documents from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited presented at the Federation Account Allocation Committee meetings, 9 crude cargoes totaling 1.9 million barrels were delivered to the Lagos-based refinery during the 4-month period, sourced from Okubome fields and sold at prices between $74.87 and $80.34 per barrel. The crude was sold in Naira using exchange rates advised by Afrexim Bank, with monthly sales rising sharply from 17.52 billion Naira in January to 111.95 billion Naira in April. Despite this, the refinery suspended Naira payments in March, citing a mismatch between the dollar-denominated crude costs and Naira-based sales. While the federal government later enforced the Naira for crude deal as a long-term strategy to support local refining, Dangote Refinery insisted that crude allocations remain inadequate, forcing reliance on imports. Meanwhile, the government earned $1.59 million from crude exports in April alone, with overall export revenue from the 4 months totaling 231.49 billion naira. Stakeholders are urging discounted crude pricing for local refiners to curb fuel price hikes and inflation. So let's even start from the beginning. Again, can we give an explanation to what caused the payment breakdown between the federal government and Dangote?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember, Doc and Priye were saying something about transparency.
Yes.
This is where we need that transparency to be enforced. My question is this: why should Afrexim Bank be the ones advising on crude sales between a Nigerian business and the Nigerian government? What happened to our CBN?
Fair.
What happened to the one-stop shop committee? I don't know if you understand. Let's localize this thing. Let's localize it. Dangote is a Nigerian, so even if he's a business, he should also benefit as being a citizen of Nigeria. And also, let's also look at this. He is going to refine at the end of the day and sell to the country and sell to Nigerians. So if we want to say we are selling crude at $70, let it be $70. Preferably, we can even give a discount. The country can say, okay, good and fine. You're going to refine, good and fine. At the end of the day, if we give a discount, you're not going to sell above this for our people. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
So these are things we need to explore and make sure that we put the country first, even if we want to still earn money off the whole deal.
Yeah, this thing, I saw the news, and my first thought process is, what role exactly is Afrexim playing in, stabilizing this exchange framework?
It's called consultancy. Somebody else pays for consultancy.
But should they be the primary consultants based on the nature of what the bank do, or do we need more like the CBN, as you said?
Yeah, but I think because of the how their position society and their specific role that the state had given to the Afrexim Bank, Import and Export Bank, because actually a state institution. So you need to understand that from the go. So it's not like a private entity coming to do government business. They are government institution. So they are in a better position to advise what is profitable to both the country and the businesses that are within. But I think the question which you ask is that most of the decisions that are taken in this country, and I still maintain that, because I've not seen us shifted from the position it was since the First Republic till now. I have two authors that their work really changed my thinking about how we think about economy. Yeah. And that was Professor Richard Joseph, when he wrote that book, Propaganda Politics in Nigeria, The Rise and the Fall of the Second Republic. And you look at Professor Claudake's work on the political economy of Africa, how politics has underdeveloped Africa. So some of all these considerations are not taken for their economic benefit or viability for the nation state. It's more a political tool than an economic measures. And I think that's where, for me, we need to be a lot more business-like as a country. Because for these past 60 years, politics have not helped us. And I think we should turn to the economy. Yeah. You know, I had a guest the other day and I was asking him, everywhere in the world, politics is built on economy. But in Nigeria, we are building our economy on politics, which is a misnomer. But he has a different view and he feels that, of course, because politics determine what happens in the economy. I said, no, that is not the framework of the state itself. Is the fact that how resources are located and distributed. That's what politics is. So politics is supposed to be riding on the resource of the economy. But here, by political consideration, we are not even thinking about the resource that come to the state. So people are thinking about, like they say, politicians think about the next election, while statesmen think about the next generation. We need a couple of statesmen at the helms of affairs who can actually prioritize the next generation over and above the next elections.
Priya, I just want to ask, how do you think this affects, our global, competitiveness when it comes to crude?
Okay, first of all, for us to be globally competitive, is to develop what we have in-house, locally. Because no country will want to pay attention to you. The reflection of Nigeria in the global space is the way Nigeria treats our citizens. True. And they can assess that by way of the economic policies and economic reforms that you make. And when they see that you make economic policies and economic reforms, and it's not translating to the benefit of the people back there at home, they are quite skeptical in the way they are going to assess you. And sometimes even the kind of information that Nigerians don't have, we have most of these multilateral and foreign agencies, they have them. And so sometimes they can't even tell if the government is telling the truth to its people or not. So for Afrexim Bank, it's a multilateral financial organization, established under the auspices of the African Development Bank. Yes. So I think it is because of the role that African Development Bank plays in the economy of several African countries. Afrexim Bank also, exercises some form of supervisory and consultation, like you say, powers and recommended to the African economy. And Nigeria is not the only country they do that to, but I'm sure they are glad to do that to Nigeria because of the role it plays. For me, the thing is, if you look at that report that you read from January to April, the price or the sales moved from 17 billion naira, right? I believe so.
70 something to
100
and something.
To 111 in just 4 months. From 17.
74.
From 74 rather. Yeah. I think it's worth considering.
No, but you also look at the scale, because from when the refinery started October last year, they're not operating full capacity. And even not as we speak, it's still not up to full capacity. Yeah. And I think they're about 80 now, 85%. So they are still scaling up.
No, but I believe the price per barrel also went up.
Yep.
Yeah,
yes, from 74 to 80.
The price per barrel also went up.
The volume they're also taking is also going up.
I know, but I'm saying if the price per barrel goes up, it doesn't really matter the volume. The volume will also always generally increase. It's not about, I'm buying more. The price per unit is increasing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So volume is increasing, price per unit is increasing.
Yeah.
So now, as at Monday, I guess, the price per barrel had gotten almost to 85, I guess.
Exactly.
Thanks to Israel.
Yes.
Yes.
To 83 or thereabouts.
Yes.
Because of the crisis that is in the Middle East. So, of course, that's definitely going to also
Have an
affect.
impact.
Yes. But there are a lot of things that determine price. Supply is part of it. The pricing is part of it. So, all these things are going to be affecting whatever that is being taken. But now you can imagine that if it's going to get the entire supply for Nigeria, of course, the value will be more than this. But the only thing that also we have not also been told is the crude for cash deal that was sealed by the previous administration.
Yes.
We don't have the last of that conversation to see that when is it ending? Because NNPC still feel that there's an obligation to some people that they have taken money in advance and they have obligation to supply crude to.
Yes.
So, that's the crude loan, loans taken on natural resources?
So,
okay.
Yes.
Doc, are you asking us or you're asking
No,
us?
he's just saying.
Is it rhetorical?
Okay.
He's just saying.
So that's part of the conversation, because that also eventually, because we don't even have the entire crude as our own at the moment, because some of these things have been sold in advance. So the essence of the whole committee stuff is to see how to do this balancing. So while we are not fighting the obligation we have to people who gave us money in time of need, but we're also not sacrificing the things that we should be doing here locally.
John, please, can I
Okay.
chip in something? It's not a form of correction. They didn't give us money. Who gave that administration money? Let's start calling people out for what they did. Who gave that administration money? Because they didn't tell us how much they collected and how long we are going to pay.
Yeah.
So why should we be saying us?
It's us, because the state matter.
Okay, because yes, I think I'll go with what he's saying, because sometimes if we say who gave money, some of this money, so some of these funds were accessed through loans. And some of these loans, the executive arm of government didn't just jump up and just run to get loans.
agree.
It went through,
Can you tell us those
I'm coming, it went through the National Assembly that appended its signature and granted.
And it was advised by the
hold on.
Some of them.
Now we are looking at the formalities that should happen.
And those
But
are
not the
formalities,
date.
because if the National Assembly refused, the executive arm of government cannot continue to access that loan or to go to get the loans.
Can you tell us the loans? Tell us how much we are owing.
You know this
I
loans.
don't know.
Look, please, let's go past this. Number one. Number two.
See, this is where
just
we need,
a moment,
this is where
just
we
a
need to
moment,
have
Chooks,
down.
just a moment,
If the
please.
elite
Wait.
did not know and is asking this same question, this is not the first time, this is not the second time, this is not the third time. We should roll over it.
They know.
Who is the they?
They know. The people you just mentioned.
Okay.
Now, because of the act of politics in business and business in politics, some beneficiaries were sidelined, and because they were unable to access those contracts, and because their rivals actually access those contracts, they cannot claim ignorance that they do not know.
Right.
That is one. Number two, if you look at the way the Naira for crude deal was run, it was supposed to run in the first 6 months. It was the first 6 months that they came out and like, okay, we are truncating it. It's not going to continue. That Dangote and other refineries cried out in the country, and we started putting pressure on the leadership to make sure that they go back to review it and go back to the drawing board. And we are glad that they've started doing that. And it's not today they've started reconciling, and that we are going to continue to give this Naira for crude deal to not only Dangote but to also other modular refineries. And that's where the thing now is they are consolidating on it. Now it has taken a different dimension, that because of what the happenings in the global space and the geopolitical space, and Nigerians are going to, the toll on Nigerians and the average man in society is really going to be telling on them. That is why they're taking an extra step to make sure they address it through this policy means.
Fair, but let's come back to the Dangote and this FG sort of pricing dispute so far. Okay. If you were Dangote, or you were meant to advise Dangote, would you say he should just continue importing his
Okay, now, sorry for taking that. There's still a part we've not addressed.
Yeah, address it.
Now, Doc was looking at crude for cash loans, not the Naira crude development. Now, the crude for cash loans, we've asked this question several times.
Yeah.
Even NNPC have not come out to tell us how much we are owing, specifically who we are owing, and how long we're going to supply them crude to finish paying as we speak. If I'm saying something that I'm not well informed, I will want somebody to say.
Well, isn't that what we're talking about when we say integrity on the
yes, so that's, we need to put it out there so that they will not know we are not holding forth for anybody.
Fair.
Nigerians are
but because
suffering for it.
it's also very important. The reason why I brought this up is the reason why we're talking about ration and even selling for the locals and the ability for us to even sell. That it is not something of a joy for Dangote to be going to America to buy crude. It's not a joy. It's because...
it's not a joy for Dangote, it's not a joy for
it's not for anybody, really, because it's cost. And of course, you look at the time of logistics from America to Nigeria, and of course, what it will stop. So these are issues that had to be resolved, but because nobody really have too much understanding on what these agreements were, how much is involved, at what extent. At a point they said it was going to end 2025. Yeah. Later somebody said it was going to end in 2026. When in 2026,
we're hearing 2027.
So we don't even know when exactly 2026 is going to end. So these are issues that needs to be in the public, because these are done on behalf of the state. And I don't think these are security issues or classified matters that cannot be put in the public space. Yeah. So what the government needs to let people understand is this is why a lot of people are wondering, so why will Dangote be doing this thing? Why was the need for the naira for crude business? It was because we had issues with our FS condition. Yes. I said, let's see what happened in the first 6 months. Now, in a sane environment where people are thinking, before 6 months, people should have been doing review of what has happened.
In the fourth.
Are we now having more dollars in our economy so that we can now say, okay, this agreement is no longer profitable? That's the first question that somebody would have asked. You might say, oh, because we said it's going to end in 6 months, now in 6 months we'll stop. No, because there was a reason why it came into being in the first place. Has those reasons now abated? And if they have not abated, it was just natural for the NNPC to have written a note to Dangote to say, we have not been able to get out of the FS crisis. This agreement will continue. I don't think it needed Mr. President to intervene or the court of public opinion to carry it up and then be dragging government up and down before we are now saying, we cannot continue it. It should be something that people who are thinking and logical should sit in the office and say, this is the reason why we are doing this thing. Have we achieved our goal? And if we have not achieved our goal, then can we move forward? Yeah. So we don't necessarily need to wait till the expiration.
Okay, so so I think I understand what the question that Mr. Chooks was asking, and like the contracts or the infrastructure that we have some of these organizations to come build for us, and that we promise we're going to pay back using crude, the estimation, the amount, so that we know when we can finish paying, right? So now, this is not...
Or you can deposit you.
Yes, I'm just rounding up now. On that, in that particular case, when you give loans, and if the House of Representatives and the Senate are the one that approved for the executive arm of government to move on, that means they are informed of the conditions. And if they're informed of the conditions because a document has been presented to them, then it is incumbent on them to hold the executive arm of government responsible for that purpose. That this loan was supposed to, according to what is stated on the condition paper, the terms of reference. So by 2026, we are done. Now, because even the paying back, when you're taking back, you're ferrying badges of oil to pay back loans. It should also, the House of Assembly and the Senate should also know, so that they know that we are paying back, and this we have paid back to this extent, and this is the outstanding of what we are paying back. In a situation where that information is not available, then we know that there is something fishy.
But you must also not forget, one minute. Okay. Don't forget that the Senate is also looking for 213 trillion from the same organization.
For years of not paying back.
And then they have said, well, there were some certain things that were not added well. So you must understand where the additions and the
subsidy money we still not
must have been coming from.
Oh, man, it is always It's always a tough
You
conversation
hit
for
a
me.
brick wall, right?
Every time we have these conversations, because it's like, there's really no clarity. There seems to be no other than clarity. There's no clarity of purpose apparently in what's being done. But we want to hear your thoughts. You can leave your comments in the comment section. Let us know what you think on every topic that we discuss here at Souq Business Landscape. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about great strides and great introductions happening in the maritime industry. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Think like that, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
Idumota Market. Eko Idumota, once a residential neighborhood, is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an armed forces remembrance cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge, ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, Souq Enlightenment.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging.
Think like that, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
Welcome back to Souq Business Landscape. We are still in the studio and we are doing justice to all the conversations shaping the polity in Nigeria, the economy as well in Nigeria today. All right, I said maritime news, let's get into it. 30 years after liquidating its former fleet, Nigeria is set to re-establish a state-owned national shipping carrier to strengthen its global trade presence. Backed by a $150 million deal from the Regional Maritime Development Bank, the project includes port upgrades, shipyard expansion, and support for shipbuilding and cabotage vessel acquisition. The bank says that the initiative will address critical infrastructure gaps and boost Nigeria's maritime capabilities. At a high-level meeting in Abuja, stakeholders agreed that strong collaborations among ministries, departments, and agencies is vital for success. A new interministerial committee will provide policy support, while the carrier is expected to enhance Nigeria's regional influence in West and Central Africa. The move marks a major step in correcting past mistakes that led to the collapse of the Nigerian National Shipping Line in 1995. Gentlemen, do you think this is a venture that we should be venturing in right now? Because for me, since we are always borrowing money for everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I feel that it's unfortunate that the level of impunity in our country is so high.
Yeah.
And so high to the extent that we make the generation that are coming to be wielding something like a shared conscience. In 1999 or 2001, I can't remember exactly, Obasanjo came out as the president of Nigeria to tell us that when he was handing over power to civilians in 1979, they had brand new imported vessels. They were about 29 or thereabout. And while he was about to leave, 16 were delivered, and they were all fully paid for.
Yes.
And the order arrived later. Between 1979 and 1995, we can see the number of years.
That's just 16 years.
29 vessels gone into thin air. We don't know where they are. We don't know who ran them.
Who sold them?
Who sold them? How did they disappear? And then we come up and say we want to build another vessel.
I mean, we even remember the Nigeria Air scandal of a few years ago.
So these are the issues on the ground. We can't be investing in things that we know we don't have the capacity to manage. If individuals who are private business owners want to build a carrier, it's understandable.
Yes.
But I think that same argument that Festus Keyamo is pursuing at the airport, that Nigeria will not put one hand down to do another national carrier, is the kind of argument that I have for these kind of guys. Because if we don't know what happened to 29 vessels, brand new vessels, and we are thinking, nobody has done a probe to say, even if the man is dead, let's go and change his grave.
Okay,
I
understand. Doc
and then we'll be very serious as a people.
Okay.
I think I understand why Doc is angry.
Yeah.
But
I'm very, very visibly angry.
Yes, but you know what? It is not rocket science. We are not ready as a people to tackle it. 24 fleet national shipping line, Nigerian national shipping line, 24 fleet. When it was liquidated, the 24 fleet is talking about, they went, like they're gone. So when Obasanjo, let me not even call it sold.
In short, Obasanjo told a joke in one event, and he said, when they recovered one, they asked him to spend $1 million to go and fix it. So he went to use $1 million. This is 1999 when he came back to fix it. Then later they came back and they said it was not seaworthy, that they should come and put another $1 million to put it. And they told them that it doesn't even need the vessel, they should carry it, and say they later brought it. You see, that kind of environment.
So Doc, you see, who was the civilian administration that took over
Shagari.
Obasanjo?
That was Shagari.
Shagari?
He held responsible.
Well, you know,
the
there
minister
are
of
other leaders after from
From Buhari to Babangida to
it is not those who were occupying those who were occupying power.
Yes.
They are the one that did damage to those national assets. They did damage.
Babangida is still there.
And who is going to hold
it? It was liquidated.
Yes, because that was 1993, 1995.
Yeah.
95.
By the 90s,
it was liquidated. That means they were all sold or given out to cronies, given out to political allies, and they all disappeared. National assets. And these things, of course, in saner or ideal climes, you will be called. You will be called, and they will spare no stone. Because I know that if the government is going to go and say, okay, let's start investigating today, they are going to find out where those 24...
it can't be that hard to trace.
No, yes, because they will get it. But the thing is, by the time they've discovered the people that took them, would they have the political will to say, okay, if you're not going to bring it back, your money in XYZ account, I'm going to lock it up and take it. Do they have the political will to do that? No.
Party
they can't
business
do
is
that.
family business.
So
if you start this investigation, you will get into family affairs.
You will get it. And but the thing is, you will get those resources back. And those are the kind of leaders Nigerians should be yearning for.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of leaders Nigerians want at this particular point in time, where you feel like, look, you have an obligation.
I'm ready to serve.
I don't understand.
That's right, Doc.
I don't understand why you will become the president and you appointed a friend whom you had while you were in university or secondary school because you understood the fact that he has the mental capacity to do things, and even currently is even doing well in whichever industry he's serving, and because of political affiliations and long-term relationship, you brought him into the fold. And it just messes your administration up, and you felt you are, as a friend, you are obligated to protect him and to keep him safe. No, you are not the one dealing with him. It is the law of state that is taking its toll. We must have that understanding at the back of our mind, because if we do not have that, we're just going to follow the status quo and we're going nowhere.
I'm ready to serve.
Do we think $150 million?
Do you think
$150 million is enough?
$150 million to float a national carrier.
Yeah.
First all is not enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So now we are looking at expanding port activities.
Yeah.
Now we are still seeing this issue of
at least you can buy one verse.
We are still seeing this issue of duplicity. We are still seeing this issue of duplicity. We are seeing we have Nigerian Port Authority, we have the Maritime, we have Ministry of Transport. There are several of them.
Yes.
Now we are trying to form another committee another thing that the committee. Now we need to break this down completely and be able to know who we are going to hold responsible for something. Left for me, instead of a national carrier, there is nothing. I have no issue with a flag carrier. We can get a private consortium to come together and float a shipping line.
Yeah.
The government can also put money in it. That way, we know that this is our Nigerian's flagship carrier. Civil servants will take their hands off because they have no access to monies in any form, cash transfer or whatever.
Yeah.
We have seen over time that any money is going through civil service. As long as it is not something that they can account for directly, it's gone. So let business be run as business. If it's a national carrier, honestly, we need one. It must not be Nigerian. It can be a flag carrier. It could be about Otodeko's flag carrier.
Yeah.
He has ships. It could be this other man. We can just put and say, hey, let's open up. Come buy shares in this thing.
Yeah.
Let's get more ships. Now we need our docks working. We have 2 major shipbuilding yards in this country. We have like 5 major. There are 2 in Lagos. There is 1 in Warri. There is 1 in Port Harcourt. And a lot of money was spent in both training and equipping these places.
Fortunately, the trained have all retired.
But we are not seeing them churning out the boat or the midship. But they used to do that here before. So we are losing a whole lot.
When they were in service.
When they were in service. Unfortunately, but some of them are still there, working for foreign firms, unfortunately.
So what we are saying here is that there's no way, we don't see this working without private.
Yeah, but you see, we must have, first of all, I see this, there is sense of responsibility. Until we first become Nigerians in our mind, we cannot be Nigerian in terms of asset possession. Because like they say in my village, if the mother of everybody dies, he rottens on the bed because there'll be nobody to bury. Chooks will think that Priya will bury, Priya will think that Moyo will bury, and the woman will be rotting.
No, I'll bury her.
You see, so that's what happened. So if the mother of everybody dies, chances that she's going to rotting on the bed is always very high because nobody's going to take ownership. So that's why it is important, first and foremost, that for me, like I said, yes, I love the idea of the Nigerian First policy. It should not be purchased idea. It's also, it has actually start as an abstraction, that we being Nigerians first. Just like people say, God bless America. Then we can begin to have a generation of men and women that will say, God bless Nigeria, and they will be willing to defend that country. Then we can be talking about owning or co-owning assets. As long as these primordial settings are still dragging us apart, putting money in national asset for me, I don't think it's something that will be encouraged.
Doc, because I think they were thinking in the same line with what you were saying, but you see, they did it wrongly. They changed the national anthem. They think it's going to make the difference. That's just by the wayside. So, first of all, I think those shipyards that Chooks referred to, I think we have one, a dockyard there, where the Nigerian Navy is there. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe in the last 2-3 years, the Nigerian Navy came out and said they built a local, there's a ship that they actually built, that was actually built locally, if not 3-4 years back, that they built locally. So probably they would have been on the project for quite a long time because they would need to source technology, they need to source fund, and they need to source a whole lot of things. If the Navy can do that, I know we can. As a country, we can do that. So if the government is going to start with that, I think it should start with that for now. Because the thing is, even when you have professionals, the way you look at the military, the armed forces, even in advanced countries, the kind of professionals that you have there, it's almost the same thing you find in the public space. And sometimes because of the way their trainings and the way they are taught to do business or the way they are taught to work, because of the way that training is marshaled, they seem to have a very high tendency to even perform at the optimum level. So the government can start with that. If we are talking about national carrier and shipping lines, the government can start throwing some form of projects into those places. Hopefully, it will not be siphoned too into those places for them to build something.
Yes.
And I think if we do that, and if we can establish a plan that all government coming into the saddle, irrespective of your political leanings or your political party, would toe the line because government is a continuum, I think we'll be able to make headway.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Priye. On that note, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll go to the international front, and we'll talk security. Don't go anywhere.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. with customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics. ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff? Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.
Welcome back to Souq Business Landscape. I am Moyosore Adebiyi. The gentlemen are still in the studios with me. As I said before we went on the break, we are going to look at the security scene on the international front. NATO commits to boost defense spending by about 5%. Now, NATO leaders have agreed to increase defense spending to 5% of their nation's economic output by 2035. The decision was reached during a summit in The Hague, following months of pressure from the United States President Donald Trump, who called it a big win for Europe and Western civilization. The plan includes spending at least 3.5% on core defense and an additional 1.5% on security infrastructure. Although some countries, including Spain and Belgium, expressed concerns, all member states signed the final agreement. In a joint statement, NATO members reaffirmed their commitment to collective defense, describing Russia and terrorism as long-term threats. The leaders stopped short of condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but pledged ongoing support for Kiev's defense and military industry. NATO Security General Mark Rutte said the alliance is now stronger, fairer, and more lethal. Trump also reiterated support for NATO's Article 5, despite earlier ambiguity. The summit was described as historic, with leaders emphasizing unity amid global security tensions. Gentlemen, the big question here now, this additional 5%, what is the implications of this? What are we going to be seeing?
The additional 5% is not the real story. The real story is Trump.
I know. We'll get to that. I know, obviously, he's the puppet master here.
That's the real story. So for them, a while ago, the U.S. threatened to cut spending in NATO and also challenge them to, hey, we are not telling you to match us, but hey, come up.
Was that come to blackmail?
He was not blackmail, but he was just saying the obvious. You know, while he was busy going for trade war here, trade war there, he was also looking at places where America was spending and the corresponding collaborators were not spending as much or doing their own part. And he said, okay, America cannot continue funding NATO, so NATO should come up. So now Ukraine kind of opened up a whole lot of can of worms, and everybody is saying that, okay, we need to play our part. If we're going to support this, is our cost, then we should spend our money. So aside military equipment and other forms of support, now cash-wise, they are pulling up to 5%. 5% is a lot. Yeah. Now, it's a whole lot. When we look at defense spending, now we used to judge countries based on defense spending. Yeah. And when the East Bloc increases their defense spending. This other side, we start shouting and say, why exactly are you increasing defense spending? Who are you planning to attack?
Yes.
What are your ulterior motives? Now we'll get to see that Russia issue is always there. So this defense spending, Russia is also now coming into play. They're still calling the name of Russia.
Yes.
As if Russia is the only enemy within. It's all economic stuff. Everybody wants a control of where they are controlling. So they have to prove their military might.
But we do know that NATO was found on the premise of protection against the Soviet Union, which is Russia today.
There is no
because
more,
of their
existential threat. There is no more Soviet Union.
But at the heart of it, isn't it Russia, or am I wrong?
The Americans have done their bit in dissolving that particular union.
Fair.
Yeah, but you see, the fact for me is the continual re-evaluation of the relevance of international institutions. And to what extent, really, are these institutions relevant? And if it was happening right now in Ukraine, something to go by, she will ask, what's the value of NATO? Except in this public meeting and oratory, in my view. The world has far more difficult challenges they should face right now, which is what is actually bringing back again to the fore a situation where protectionism is almost the order of the day. That even they two can't trade among themselves. And if they can't do economic business among themselves, now the chances that defense is only what's going to unite them together is a big problem. And I think that the challenge in the world is not to look for more money to fight war. It's for us to sit around table and talk about equity, talk about justice and fairness. And first and foremost, see ourselves.
Equity between who?
Everybody, that we are first of all humans.
That's a long shot.
That's not a given.
Yeah, but because that is the only way to peace.
Yeah. If you truly want peace.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
You see, gone were those days where people talk about military might and power. Nobody has any military might as we speak today. Nobody does.
Nobody does.
Nobody does. Yes, we can hear Donald Trump said, oh, there's no military that's as strong as America. And that's just war propaganda.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because we don't know what other people has. So what we're talking about today, warfare has gone beyond what it used to be, armament. We need to recognize that first and foremost, we're all humans. And there are no second race or third races.
Okay. Now you are saying this from a viewpoint of a continent that is oppressed.
So it's not just our continent alone. It's everywhere. Because when you are treating people with disdain, you only are opening up doors for protestation. And this is what you see that is emerging, especially in the Arab world, in the Middle East, where people are now becoming protesters. That what we even have today is not any wall that is symmetrical. People are talking about asymmetrical walls. So that can talk about those Hutu guys who are on the waters, bombing up ships and destroying vessels, closing up things that even your so-called Asena will not be able to do. And what is it inflicting on the world is inflicting pain on the world. That's skyrocketing inflation. Food prices are on the high scale. This is what people want to deal with. Nobody wants to fight war. So in putting money in warfare for me is a lot of waste of energy.
Okay, but for NATO also, you know, when they increase its budget, you know, they also are more of watchdogs across a lot of ocean borders. So they split that particular ocean guard among NATO countries.
So I think that also will go into it. But well, they've been doing this all this while. So
NATO was sort of established more with a defensive mindset.
Yes, that's what it's still the same thing.
But with more funding, don't you think that some other countries who are not allied nations might get agitated and start
NATO on their own? Remember, they were also trying to get more people to join. Now, joining them is also trying to widen the West Bloc against the East Bloc. It's geopolitics.
Okay.
But say for example,
economy.
Say for example, I'm some country who probably wasn't a part of all this, the wars and all of that, and I join NATO. Does that mean I have to be aligned with the USA?
Yes, that's what it means.
That's what it means.
Yes.
Okay, so one thing is this: NATO is not saddled with the responsibility of creating peace in the globe. It's not its business.
Exactly. Yeah.
If there is any organization that is saddled with the responsibility of trying to bring nations together to create peace, it's the United Nations. Then we can begin to look at the United Nations. And if we look deeply into the United Nations, then we can start considering the actions and the activities and the alliance among the big five.
Yes.
And those the pacts and the multilateral agreements that they belong to, and other nations that are lining up behind them, and the ideology or whatever they are trying to push. So for NATO, when I looked at them, I think if you look at the list of countries that is behind them, that is with them, there are even more. And if you now look at Warsaw, which I would say the Warsaw Pact that is being led by the defunct Warsaw Pact has been led. We can call it defunct, but beneath underground. It's very few and insignificant. So when NATO allies are telling you we are going to up the ante in our defense spending, we are going to go this route and that route and this route, I think every other nation in the globe would take them very seriously. Why am I saying that? If you look at some of the recent policies that both the United States and the United Kingdom are making, you would know that it is the same way all other countries in the NATO pact will follow suit. The UK recently is telling you they want to build a new warhead carrier, a plane. That a new warhead carrier that can carry one of the biggest bombs around the world, that is capable of carrying, is it the B-35 bomber of the United States? They say they want to do that, and they are going to pump more money into defense spending and getting defense infrastructure and defense assets. The United States recently is telling you it's going to increase its spending when it comes to semiconductors. And you see NATO coming up today or yesterday to tell you, hey, we are going this direction. It is very, very obvious the countries that are influencing the trajectory and the direction that NATO is going to take. And why? What exactly are they saying? They're telling you that because of the recent terrorism across the world and the role that they've seen that Russia is playing. They are not hiding it. They are telling you we are increasing our defense spending because of Russia. Put it in plain English rather. And that's what they are going to do. So the thing is, they're going to do that. And the thing is, we want peace. Yes, we want peace. But what we have on ground at the moment is somewhat delicate. But I still think that for Israel not being part of NATO, because I don't see their name there,
they can't be part of it.
It's giving me something.
But you see, the point I was just going to make, yes, except Donald Trump has said, enough of American carrying other people's burden without benefits. That's what we're seeing actually playing out. And of course, because America has bear that burden, and NATO is trying to say, oh, yes, we can also up our ante, so that it will look as if it's America that is carrying us. But we know to a very large extent that all of these countries, they are burdened. That's the point I'm making. England is in trouble economically. The only country that is carrying Europe at the moment is Germany, and Germany is weakened by the day. So spending more money to procure arms is not what the people need.
How is Germany weak?
Yeah, but because it's carrying too many
Germany
problems.
is the foremost, currently as we speak, economy in Europe.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And they are in alignment with this recent directive.
That is what I'm saying to you. Most European powers are weak economically. That is shouldered by Germany. Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is that if one country is carrying the burden of so many people who are not able to meet their day-to-day economic need, there's a problem. UK doesn't have money as we speak.
Okay, so
there's a whole lot of unemployment in the land. Okay. In the whole of Europe, Greece is having trouble. The economy has not recovered since 2008. So why are we talking about upping how much money we spend on arms? Just make peace.
Countries
and we go to about to
I know we all want to say something. I mean,
in this era of let's make peace, who is talking about the story of Africa in this era of let's make peace? Because if we look at this, everybody trying to tell you, me, and them that they are stronger, it still boils down to African oppression. They will still get to the Congo and fly out all what they need and pay less to nothing. They will still try to tell Burkina Faso, no, you can't rule yourself. They will still tell Cameroon, that guy is going to be your president till the next day he dies. It's the same thing that is coming from the same NATO. They are still putting Africa down. Yeah. So, and they are telling how what?
Even yesterday, Trump still said that Congo is in, Rwanda is in, and many other African countries are coming in.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, because it's not to gain.
Thank you very much.
Want protection.
As always, the Souq Business Landscape is always very riveting and very rich in fireworks when it comes to conversations. While we debate off NATO interference in other countries' business, we say thank you so much for joining us. I'm Moyosore Adebiyi. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Moyo Lagos. The birthday boy, I think you should go.
Thank you very much for being part of the show today. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks, and to these awesome people in the studio, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc.
We're supposed to sing this happy birthday song.
Oh, I don't know.
The production time is over. It's not over.
It's not your place to say that. I don't know how to say it.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
This is the first time I've seen Doc sing.
Oh my God.
All right.
It's very good
birthday boy.
It's very good birthday for Chooks.
All right,
well, I'm Oyinpreye Krumale. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure being in front of you every day on Souq Business Landscape.
All right, Doc, final goodbye.
Bye-bye there. We'll see you again tomorrow on this table, talking about the things that matters to you. We must make African work.
All right.
That's why we are here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a lovely day ahead.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Ministry said it's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff? Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.